All right. Namaskar, good evening, hello, and welcome to Glib Talk. My name is Samrat Ghosh. I'm your host for the evening. We thank all of you for joining us sharp at 5 o'clock, and this quite great to see that people are still very much adhering to the timelines. It's a Sunday evening, and we all have taken out time from our regular shorts, which is just 5:02 about to be, and we're just waiting for a lot of people to join in. Thank you so much for your kind support. Thank you so much for taking your time out and joining us. We have a wonderful guest today. He's none other than Mr. Vinay Trivedi. He is the Chief Human Resource Officer with ToneTag, which is based out of the Silicon Valley of the country, which is Bangalore. Vinay is with us right now. He is extremely tired because he's been busy all throughout the week, and I would not take much time to get introduced to Vinay and take you to Vinay's VT Talks. So Vinay's talk and LinkedIn is very famous. It's on YouTube too. If you go ahead and search as VT Talks, he has got quite a meaningful lot of videos out there. So finally, VT Talks has met Glib Talk around about a month ago. Yes, and we've been talking for the last 1 month, thinking that how do we go ahead and proceed about this online live talk show? How do we go ahead and get the maximum of you coming to the show and be a part of this wonderful journey? Glib is easy. Glib is often thoughtlessly. It is not a webinar. There is no Gyan session. There is no intense talk. The tagline of our show is an interview of a great mind and a known face. And when we say a known face does not have to be a face of a celebrity. A face that is known to everybody and anybody. And that's what our face is all about. Our families, our friends, our acquaintances, our colleagues, everybody knows us. So it's all about somebody's success, somebody's failure in life. It's about their journey. How did they bunk? Vinay has a great story to share, which I will take you through very shortly when I ask Vinay to go ahead and unmute himself and start talking about his journey. So there's quite a lot of face-off that's going to happen in this session. There are a lot of impromptu questions that I'm going to ask because finally कोई HR हाथ में आया है जिसको हम अभी grill करने वाले हैं. And to be on the lighter note, there's nothing serious about this talk. It's just an online talk show. I am a former radio jockey with Red FM 93.5 way back in 2008 to 2010 back in Hyderabad. So pandemic has apparently pushed me to go ahead and take this initiative when we all were house arrest and probably wondering what next to be done. So with this, I will not take any more time. Just to let you know, Vinay is a postgraduate from XLRI. Vinay is heading the entire human resource department for ToneTag, as I mentioned, which is a tech organization. And Vinay is here with us today. So Vinay, it's a sincere request if you can unmute yourself and give a quick introduction to everyone so that we get started. Over to you, Vinay.
Thank you. Um, it's wonderful to see a lot of known faces here today. I'm very excited because I see a lot of them that I know that I've had conversations with. Um, Thank you very much for joining on a Sunday evening. I would have just been a tortoise or a crocodile at 5 p.m. on a Sunday evening. Otherwise, it's a lot of hard work to come on a talk show and have a conversation. Which hopefully is not going to be a Gyan conversation, but really fun behind the scenes conversation. And that's really what I would say that we should have. So thank you for having me here. And it's lovely to see a lot of you that I know personally who've joined in. I'm wondering what else they want to know about me, but I think it's going to be fun.
It is indeed going to be a fun, Vinay. And trust me, this is going to, as we progress, as we move ahead, we will have a lot of questions coming up from people who all are there, part of this talk show. As I mentioned, guys, this is not a webinar. So we are not going to make you very boring. We're not going to talk something very, very serious. But our endeavor of this particular talk show is to know about Vinay's life right now, how Vinay has succeeded. Within just a 13, 14 years of his life, he has bagged a position which I think is a dream for a lot of us. I've been there in the industry myself, been a veteran, over 14 years of experience, been director of an organization, worked with multiple large conglomerates in the industry. I'm still working somewhere, but I don't want to disclose that particular details. Let that be a secret for now. To start with, the fact that we talked about, and in every of our flyers and posters, be it on LinkedIn, be it on Facebook, be it on Instagram, we always talked about making common sense more common. Today's world, common sense is very uncommon. All we know that. Also, to talk about that the HR fraternity, the way it is, organizations are functioning. With all due respect to all the HR personals, all due respect to the entire HR fraternity, because you guys are the pillars of any organization, and without you, nobody can function. Having said that, there's a hindsight to it. And when we're going to start on a little different note with Vinay right now. Vinay, my first question to you is, and I would definitely open it up for the audience as we progress in the conversation. You yourself said in one of your videos, and I've been an avid follower of your work, of VT Talks, which is pretty famous, and there are quite a few likes, quite a few views on YouTube. You said that if there is a problem with the HR, certain HR people, there are a problem with candidates also, right? In today's world, when we talk about pandemic and everybody's house arrest, everybody has become a public speaker. Everybody has become an influencer. Everybody has become, a self-proclaimed TEDx speaker or a keynote speaker, and they all are trying their mettle to be proven in different platforms. So what is your take on this when you, being an HR, you see and you post a job on any of the job platforms, and you get some weird applications where people don't even probably read the job descriptions. And I will come on the other side of it, where how you guys do not respond when somebody is applying for a job. But that's a separate thing altogether. We'll take it through. But what is your take and what would be your message to the audience that we have, or to the new generation who are students right now, who are about to be stepping in their professional journey? Can you share some of your experiences with the entire audience and say that this is something that we as HR, or when I am as an HR hiring a candidate, I do not like, or I would not like to see it? Can you throw more light on this and let us know more about your view on this?
I think I didn't think I'll start this conversation with using this word, but in my mind, it's just bullshit. If people are, writing, talking about things that they're really not. I really don't think you need any university degree to sort of talk whatever is the reality. So I think I've now gone past the angst and irritation level to a laughter level, where I just look at this and I feel sorry when people send in applications with all of these things. In my view, I think you need to be true to yourself so that you can be true to the world. We will talk about the marketing side of your story separately, but I think what is critical is that just use your common sense and show whatever you have, instead of really doing things that you're not, because that will really put you in a trap.
So what is the common sense you're referring to, Vinay? Can you just quote a few examples probably that will help?
Yeah, I think any candidate, you need to only write things that you've really done. You need to talk about things that you really know of. There are two ways to deal with this. So there's one way where you're truthful and you just do whatever you've done in your past. You write whatever you've done in your past, and you talk about it. That makes you confident. That makes you more relevant to applications. Or you need to be a master at telling lies. And a deep stick to, when I keep telling this to a lot of people, a deep stick to this is, if somebody can maintain 3 girlfriends, then you can write whatever you want on your CV. But if not, you better write whatever is what you've done. So that's how I approach it, and that's the simplest example I could think of.
The first time I ever heard an HR saying, if you can maintain three girlfriends, you can better write any stories and talk about lies, etc. And if you are not, you better know your capabilities. So act accordingly, dude. Don't go overboard, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Very bold statement by Vinay. For the first time, I think we're having a very, very candid conversation where Vinay is saying, you know what, I find it as bullshit. That's true. I am also in certain positions where I have to hire certain candidature. They write anything and everything possible just to make their CV look very glorifying. But at the end of the day, when you ask certain specific questions, right from picking from the CV itself, they're not able to answer. So the moral of the story is, भैया जो भी लिखना है, जो किया है इधर वो लिखो, या फिर जिसमें तुम मास्टर हो उसको लिखो, या फिर आपको स्टोरी बेचना बहुत अच्छे तरीके से आता है तो उसको क्राफ्ट करो सही तरीके से and then take it forward. That's one. Second, Vinay, it's a tough question that is going to be coming in your way right now. The question is, there are multiple job postings across different platforms, and I'm not taking names, and that's not what the endeavor is all about. We don't want to take names deliberately because there is no offense. When I say this, I've been a job applicant myself at one point of time, and even if I try my level best to see how the market is working. Do you get responses? Do you get to hear from time or not, etc.? There are one posting, there are 2,000 applications. I know it is extremely tough for a recruiter to maintain those 2,000 applications, especially in the current situation where there are a lot of job losses are happening, there are pay cuts are happening, people are probably not happy with the kind of role that they're doing. What's your take as an HR when you see an applicant is actually looking for a job, and maybe the applicant is desperate to get a job, right? He needs to run his family, he needs to support his EMIs, his credit cards, bank, his family, feed his daughter or the pet or whatever for that matter. When somebody is applying for a job in an anticipation that I will at least get a response whether I have been shortlisted or I'm not being shortlisted, or my application has been accepted, moving to the next level, or not yet been accepted. Apart from a very few HR personnel from the fraternity, I have seen more than 90% where you don't get a response. You know that when you're posting a job, you will get 2,000 applications or 4,000 applications or 200 or 20 applications. Do you think that is the right practice for any recruiter to follow? What's your take on it?
So I have written quite a lot about this on LinkedIn as well. I think it really pains to know that my own fraternity does not believe in responding, and I think it's very tough for applicants. While I know there is a lot of applications that just comes in as a tick mark because somebody just wants to apply for a job and they may not even have read the job description, but for HR, I think it's important that they definitely stand up to this and respond. It's only a matter of time before HR will become obsolete when somebody will say that, hey, we don't need you guys, we'll manage this ourselves. Uh, I started following this simple method that if I open up a job, I stop receiving applications at a sizable number. So say 100, 200, 250, 300. I finished responding to all of them and then reopen the tab. So at least I can humanly manage responding to people. It is really tough to respond to everybody, but it's not impossible. And I think every candidate deserves a feedback, period. However tough it may be, however time consuming it may be, every candidate deserves a feedback. And there is no mucking around or there's no going around. There's no reasoning for it of why we can't do it. We just have to pull up our socks and do it. That's my personal professional opinion both.
Great. Do you also think, Vinay, that just to get attention and just to get 1,000 likes or 200, 400 comments, you see that very often on LinkedIn, right? Whoever is there on LinkedIn, probably they must be seeing this happening at least almost every day. Uh, do you see this as a wrong practice, as a malpractice, or just to get the attention, or there is any genuine?
To get attention in what?
That probably their post is getting visible, they are having 2,000 views and they are having 400 comments. I mean, that's a very stupid thing to write that, if you need a job, just comment hi in the comment section. I will have a look at your profile. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Why do you need to put a hi?
I think the objective of that individual is to garner followers, and he or she is doing it very smartly. I think it's stupid of people to like and comment assuming they'll get a job. This is like one of those bank frauds where you know that you should not be sharing your PIN OTP with somebody. You know you should not click on links. I mean, these are all those things that we already know, but we sometimes fall prey to it. So this one is one of those. While it's just so stupid when you like or comment or share your details and you think somebody's going to get in touch with you. So I think each one of us need to be sensible enough not to fall prey to all of this. And really, common sense, which I keep talking about, is all you need to figure out if that's genuine or not. Let me put it that way.
HR is always smart, right? You have your ways of giving smart answer every time. I think that's an innate culture that you guys carry of being an HR.
I'm being candid. I'm not even being smart. If I would have been smart, I would have been defending or doing something else here in the conversation.
I'm just
I'm being candid. And I'll be out of a job if I'm not smart, right?
no.
I think so will be with so many of them here on the call as well.
True. So, Vinay, one of your VT talks or one of your posts, which has got a lot of likes and people have really reciprocated to that particular post, they're bringing back the human element back in HR.
Yeah.
We all have an understanding of human resource means they have a human element already attached to it. How is your initiative is different, bringing that human element back in HR? Can you talk a little more about that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Vinay.
So there are a lot of them here on this chat show as well. If you would have asked them in 2014, 15, if I was even a human being, they'll say no. They've seen a terror side of who I am or what I used to do, but that was one of my job roles. I think it's extremely important that we recognize people as human beings and not really as resources or as just human capital. The minute you will realize that you're actually talking to a live and kicking person, you will automatically become compassionate. You will have empathy. You will deal with it in a certainly different manner. That doesn't mean that you cannot give tough messages or negative things, because people mistake being human to being soft, or being human to not being able to give tough messages. I don't see that as a problem at all. And I think the more and more we have artificial intelligence dealing with natural stupidity, the more and more will be the human side that will come up.
National stupidity. Wow. Artificial intelligence, a lot of different things altogether. Yeah, a lot of people are commenting, stating that yes, they have seen that side of yours probably in 2013 to 2015 in the chat box. And I'm sure you can resonate in terms of what you're referring to if others are absolutely unaware. There's a very good point that has been raised by Amit in the chat section, that why human element is only left with HR and why business leaders are away from. That's a good question, Amit. Do you want to answer that question?
On the contrary, I think a lot of business folks are more sensitive to requirement and needs than HR is. I see a lot of business heads really taking care of their teams when they're in distress or crisis. I've seen a lot of leaders going out of their way to help their team members. While they could be difficult bosses, but there have been a lot of people who have taken care of their teams very well. On the contrary, HR sometimes is not. So the reality is it's really person dependent and not really a department dependent, if you ask me.
Right. So in this present situation, Vinay, there are a lot of people are saying a lot of things. They are asking to handle the stress in a different way altogether. They're asking that deal with the situation in this particular way. Go ahead, and if there is a job cut, somebody is not getting a job. Somebody is going mad, going paranoid, and just do not know and being absolutely clueless because there's nobody probably who's there to guide them. Right? And it's happening in a very large scale across industries, across organization, across the geographies, and it's a global problem, right? What is your suggestion? How do you want people who all are job aspirants, who all have lost job unfortunately, or who all are actually or actively seeking out for an opportunity but they are not getting it? What are the steps they should take to stay relevant with the situation and not lose it completely?
Right. Uh, I think I don't think anybody can really assess the impact of what is happening due to the pandemic on people. We are impacted psychologically. We are impacted financially. Uh, we are impacted socially because you're not able to meet people socially. So I think I really am not qualified to give an advice. But if there's anything that I can say which will help them keep going is job hunting is a process. It's not really that because you're frustrated today you'll get a job tomorrow. It will take its time. You have to do uh, review of your job applications every day. If it means you have to spend 2 or 3 hours reviewing JDs and applying to relevant jobs and not every job that you can see there, it helps. A lot of people in the frustration that they are in, they'll apply to 100 jobs in a day, and out of that 100, not even 5 would be relevant for them. But then they will come back saying that, hey, I've actually applied for 100 jobs and I'm not getting any calls. It's so frustrating. The fact of the matter is you should not have applied for 100 jobs. You should have only applied for 5 jobs that were relevant for you. You need to look at what jobs are coming up every day. Sit and make your applications which are relevant. uh, do your applications which are personalized. I get requests where my name also is different because they would have copy pasted it from another message and they would have sent that saying, "Hey Naveen, I'm applying for this role, etc., etc." And I don't even feel like responding, but then I try and respond as far as possible. But you need to every day get up and look at your jobs that are there and apply to relevant jobs. You need to be patient because you don't have any other choice. I mean, by being impatient, if you were getting a job, I would say please be as impatient as you can and you will get a job the next minute. That's not going to happen. Losing focus, getting frustrated will only impact your interviews because you're so desperate. You get one interview call, you sound so desperate that you will actually scare the other person, and he or she will think that I don't know if I want to take this guy. He seems very desperate and I'm worried that he's not in the right frame of mind. So being frustrated is not an option. Being positive and continuing to patiently look for it is the only option that you've got, and that's the only way that you'll have to deal with it. I don't see any other way mucking around in finding a job.
So there's one more question by David who's asking, and I think it's a very valid question. So when you guys actually take out any kind of a job application because you have to fulfill a position, you also take out a job posting there in the market, which is open to everybody for people to apply, and you also take out internal referral policies, etc. Right? You encourage your employees to refer their friends and family to be a part of that organization, which also has their own set of merits, which I'm sure you guys find to bring in somebody from the known acquaintances. How is it differentiated when a job, because there is a possibility, do you think that gets biased? There is sometimes there is a biasness that works where if a known employee is referring somebody for the position because the person is qualified to get that particular job. However, there is probably a strong contender who is there in the market scouting for a job and actually in need of it. And being desperate, not desperate, I'm not bringing in that particular factor and which you're very right in your saying. Do you think there is any kind of a biasness that works because you give preference to your employee first and that application from a referral perspective, or somebody out there in the market probably better than that candidature, and you give more preference to that? If you can answer that.
So I think the only bias that probably will be there is the guy who's referred is surely going to get a chance to be interviewed. But I don't think beyond that there is any advantage. And you want referrals for a reason, that you're building a workplace where you have people that you know. You're building a workplace with people that have from a similar mindset and background. So referrals are not wrong. And having referrals getting selected also are not wrong, because there are millions of studies that have said referral candidates stay longer, they join, blah blah blah. There are a lot of those things. Typically in a sourcing process, and this is really a recruitment process, we look at jobs and we see which jobs are easy for us to get it internally, which jobs are easy for us to get it externally, in the sense where do we find the right talent, and we accordingly open it up. and make those decisions that happen. So I don't see there to be any biases, because end of the day you have to get a job done. So by referring somebody and by pushing a candidature, if the person is not doing the job, then the hiring manager is on the block. So nobody will take that risk.
There are a lot of questions coming up, guys. Don't worry, we will pull up the audience, the forum, where you can unmute yourself and you can ask certain questions to Vinay. So don't lose it. Don't stay impatient, because we are talking about somebody's journey and their success and their life stories, because we promised you we will not bore you. So please, rahiye, kahin jaiye mat. We have good 1 hour and we are just about to finish our first 30 minutes. ये थोड़ा common sense, uncommon, and ये different things we talked about. Let's take a deviation. Let's get digressed, because our primary intention of this particular talk show online is to know about an individual, right? So Vinay, tell us about certain failures of your life where you think you failed miserably. You did not have any clue how to get out of that failure, or you have made a mistake. Anything that you want to share as a story of your failures, and how did you overcome that, and how did you come out of the situation and made what you are today?
So I think all of us have our fair share of failures, and we continue to have failures, because you're not growing if you're not failing. My personal view is you need to fail if you need to grow. I've had some crazy failures in my career, and I haven't overcome all failures. Let me be honest there as well. A lot of people say that if you fail, you have to overcome your failure and you have to conquer that, and that is what success is. I would leave some failures behind, saying that it's best not spoken about. I've failed and that's it. I don't want to go that path after whatever logical trying that I would have done. So I've had multiple such adventures. If I look at my working life in terms of the decisions I've made, I'll share an interesting one, which was with a life insurance company that I was working with. And if anybody here has not worked with a life insurance company, you should try working if you want challenges in your career or life. I would call people up, and I think I was talking to you about this when we were initially speaking. I would call people up and I would say, hey, this is Vinay Trivedi calling from blah, blah, blah life insurance company. They would hang up on my face saying that, bhaiya, hame insurance nahi chahiye, aap phone mat kariyega. And then I had to call them back saying that, hello, I'm head of recruitment. I'm here for a job. You're applied for a job application. Their tone totally changes. And suddenly they'll suddenly go from nahi chahiye to, oh, sorry, sir, we didn't know. And I would tell them that, calm down. I mean, I would have done the same if I would have got a call from a life insurance company. So I understand. But it can be very challenging to your ego, to a great self-esteem, that you would possibly be roaming around with HR, who I have all the power, and suddenly you realize that acha, somebody's keeping the phone on you. I mean, who are you? Koi औकात ही नहीं है आपकी. So that hits you. And it's a tough industry. So I will give you numbers that will explain to you what kind of a situation I was in. I had a approved headcount of 2,600 people. I had hired about 3,000 people for the approved headcount of 2,600 people. And I still ended the year at 2,200 people, which is a 400 people short, despite hiring 3,000 people. I don't even know how do I define this failure. But it's crazy to know that you've done everything possible, but you're not achieving what you're supposed to achieve. So my approach to failures is really 2 or 3 pronged. One is कि भैया समझ में आ गया कि ये अपने बस का नहीं है. If you understand this is not your cup of tea, walk away. Don't really beat yourself up, say, I have to do it, I have to do it, I have to do it, I have to do it. That doesn't mean you don't try. So that's one approach. The second approach is that if I know that I have to get over this and I have to conquer this, I will do everything possible to conquer this. And it does, get through a result point. And third one is I just laugh sometimes, saying, what was I doing or what was I thinking? Even that helps, because it keeps you calm mentally, and it doesn't impact you psychologically. So these are my 3 approaches to deal with failures.
और आसान तरीके से कभी आपको सक्सेस मिला है जहाँ पे आपको शायद didn't have to really work hard for it and you just thought looked tough, but you got it. That's one. Second, tell us few about your success stories also, because it's not about failures, it's about success stories as well at the same time. So we would like to know more about your success story and how did you achieve the success. which may be an inspiration, which maybe somebody can resonate or can connect with, that, hey, this is the same thing with me also, probably.
See, I mean, I wouldn't say that anybody should take inspiration from any of my success stories. It doesn't really matter because everybody's journey is their own. What happens is a lot of times people look up to some inspirational stories and they beat themselves up that they are not able to do that. But the fact of the matter is their strength will be different versus what my strength is. So I think, people should not think too much about these success stories and how people are getting successful and what people are doing. I really think what is important and what has worked for me um, is, and I've a lot of them here on the call, I very passionately believe in these two concepts. The first concept is learn, unlearn, and relearn. I think I live that concept where I keep learning, keep unlearning, keep relearning, because there is a constant pursuit for me to keep evolving and growing, which leads me to my fundamental belief concept. If people understand inflection points, I mean, a lot of them engineers would understand inflection points. I've drawn it to a lot of people here on the call when we were in person, explaining the concept to them. You should Google inflection points. Inflection point is a point where there is, when you're growing well, and then there is a radical change that happens. What I've done is all my job changes that I've done at a point of inflection, which means I was successful, I was doing very well, I could have reaped benefits of that, but I just don't like doing that. So I will jump into a place where I'm again at the bottom, and that becomes my inflection point. So a lot of my success is because it's a lot of putting myself in uncomfortable situations after situations. That helps me learn, unlearn, relearn. A lot of people don't like being uncomfortable situation, but they want to be successful. A lot of people don't like out of their comfort zones, but they think that they have to grow their career graph steeply. A lot of people, and it cannot happen that way. I mean, you have to expand, you have to push yourself to grow. If you don't push yourself to grow, you're only going to grow at that snail pace that you would see. But then you will look at everybody else and say, "Arey, ye wahan pe kaise pahunch gaya? How did he reach there? What did he do there?" Which also, people think, "Oh, he's very smart. He's been at the right place at the right time." I don't think there's anything of that sort. I mean, you work basis your understanding, and you become successful or a failure. So, but inflection point, that is, when I'm doing really well, I make that jump, is a motto of my life. And the minute I make that jump, I'm at the bottommost of that pyramid. So again, I have to climb steeply up. So that makes me learn, unlearn, relearn. So these are two things that has helped me become successful.
Brilliant, brilliant. There's a question in the chat box. I think I was about to ask that question, but I could resonate and I could definitely see that it is there in everybody's mind, I guess. Whoever is working and whoever is there in a job, they all have a certain notice period that they are supposed to serve, right? And everybody is aware of this, that basis on the designation that you are in, basic on the job profile or the responsibilities that one is doing in the organization they're employed with, there is a stipulated time that you have to serve, and not every organization gives you the option of buying out that notice period, right? A few organizations are very, very strict. I mean, I've been part of organizations where it is absolutely a strict no. You cannot get out of the organization beyond 90 days, right? That's the minimum time that you have to serve your notice. There is no buyback policy. There is nothing. So you have to stick to your 90 days policy before you want to change your job. When this is being aware by other HR folks in the fraternity and they are actually selecting a candidate, they kind of pressurize the candidate to join within 15 days or max within 30 to 45 days. When they know that the candidate is not going to be able to get out because he has to abide by the policy and he does not want his reputation, his responsibility to go marred. He does not want that and does not want to behave like an irresponsible employee.
No, but tell me one thing. Who tells you that the world is a fair place to live in?
It is not a fair place, definitely.
We're not living in an ideal world, right? There is going to be full push. There is going to be all the time. If I have to let go of somebody, I will insist the person serves their notice period. If I have to get somebody, I will insist the person comes on board early. That's my job. I'm going to keep pushing people. Too bad if you are not able to get around a negotiating table with the HR there. There is a job opportunity, and that opportunity is only available if it is done in 15 days. If it is not, then you don't have that opportunity because there are three other people who are doing it. Now to blame the whole system saying that, oh, how can I be there in 15 days? There is a 3 months notice period. Too bad. So, the reality is that we don't live in a fair world. We don't live in a straightforward world. There is going to be these pull and push that will happen, and we have to work around it. Definitely there are workarounds. You negotiate. That's what the art of negotiation skills is all about. And you come to a common ground understanding, and you do whatever has to be done. So that is a reality.
But an employee who has actually made up his mind, he's decided to move on, right? He does not want to be part of your organization anymore. I think he has done with it. And if I
Yeah.
have to take your example, as you said that no, I was doing best in what I was doing, because of which I thought of moving out of one organization, moving to the next one, because you
Yeah.
thought this is it for me right now. Let me explore something new. What if the same employee is in the same situation, thinking on that ground, but he's
Yeah.
pushed to serve the 90 days of notice, where he would not be able to be giving his 200% the way probably he was giving it before. He would not be very productive. He would not be.
So I have a problem there as well. I have worked till 8 p.m. on the 90th day of my notice period as well, and continued on calls till 10 p.m. to make sure that the work is done. Because I'm getting the same salary in those 90 days while I've made up my mind. Just because I've made up my mind, I'm not going to get a reduced salary. The work that I have is to justify the salary that I'm getting. So I have to be honest till the date that I'm working there, that I will be their champion, I will be their brand ambassador, I will do whatever it takes to represent those values. So I've made up my mind for whatever reasons doesn't mean that I will just stop doing everything else. And that's my appeal to everybody else as well, that if you're looking at building your credibility, and that's what builds your credibility, that even in your notice period you are working hard, even in your notice period you are giving your 100% because you're getting your salary at 100%. Let's face it, right? A lot of people tend to forget that. They'll say, "Arey, notice mein aa gaya, ab kya kaam karega?" I mean, क्यों नहीं करेगा काम? I'm getting my money paid. I better work for the money that I'm getting paid. Why should I not? And why should anybody else not expect that out of that employee till the time he or she is there? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the motive behind asking this question, is because people get into that mindset कि मैंने तो notice serve कर दिया है, तो मेरा काम यहाँ पर खत्म. अभी मैं सिर्फ punch in punch out करने के लिए आऊँगा, जितना काम मुझे करना है उतना ही करके जाऊँगा, salary तो वैसे भी मिल जाएगी. But while doing this, I think we as an employee, a responsible, a bona fide employee, forget those values, as you rightly mentioned. There are certain values every organization has, and if
yeah.
you are cheating those values, you are fooling yourself, not but anybody else. And you lose your credibility forever, because people would be observing you even more during your notice. कि ये बंदा अगर
Yeah.
वापस आना चाहता है, there is always a homecoming, right? There is always a welcome back.
No, well, my personal belief and my personal value system is that, and a lot of people who know me personally will agree to this. Uh, I I very strongly believe in leaving a good name behind, because you never know when you will return, and you never know when you will want to come back. One. Second, I think irrespective of whether I want to go back or I don't want to go back, irrespective of if I've liked that place, not like that place, irrespective of the reasons for my decision, uh, I think we have to be truthful to ourselves, to the work that we are committed to. End of story. It doesn't matter what else is happening around us, because if you're not doing that, it really means that what kind of a person are you? I mean, what kind of a
Correct.
upbringing, mental state of mind you have?
And दोस्तों, it is very true, whatever goes around comes around. This is a very small world. आपको पता नहीं
Yeah.
कौन से नुक्कड़ में जाके किसके साथ आपकी मुलाकात होगी, और कहाँ पे आपको वही मिल जाएगा जो आपको उस 2 साल पहले वाली चीज आपको आज भी सुनाएगा. याद है मैंने कहा था नहीं करने का उस टाइम. I think we all have been through that kind of a
और वो हुआ भी है, बहुत बार
आपको
हुआ भी है लोगों के साथ, और मैंने बोला भी है लोगों को
लोगों
कि
को
do you remember I've had this conversation?
very very
हुआ भी-
true. And I am a soul experience. I mean I have experienced it myself. So I told somebody who was reporting to me at one point of time. The person was adamant because he got a good salary. He said something. He's going up to open his own business. पापा बैकअप दे रहे हैं, पैसे हैं, मैंने जमा कर लिया पिछले 3 साल में, और वो करके चला गया था. But somehow that person could not manage the new work responsibility. And the very first time he called me, first thing he did, he called me and said, "Boss, क्या मैं वापस आ सकता हूँ?"
Yeah.
So you lost your battle then and there, because listen to your leaders, listen to your superiors because they are the parental guidance at work. Your leaders, no matter how much sometimes you hate your boss is always your boss for a reason, because उनको थोड़ा बहुत पता होता है अगर वो आपसे superior designation में बैठे हैं.
Yeah.
So yes, as you rightly said, it is not a fair world. It's a very very not so straightforward world at all. But yes, in the meantime, when we go ahead and open, we are almost done with our 45 minutes of our session. I think a lot of insights that have been given to you by Vinay. Thank you so much. We will open it up for the audience to ask certain questions if you have any. There are so many chats. I'm sorry, I'm the only one who's talking, and managing the chat at the same time becomes very difficult, and I don't want to disappoint any one of you. So if you have any question, please raise your hand. I would ask you to unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself and ask those questions. And this is just not 1 hour limitation. हम लोग इसको आगे भी थोड़ा extend कर सकते हैं considering the audience engagement. And in the meantime, when I open it up, I have a sincere request to all of you. There are a lot of you are part of the WhatsApp group that we have created, which is Glip Talk. Every Sunday we have a new guest coming in. We have Vinay this week. We have somebody else. So you got to coming in next week. So we are booked almost till 16th of August. Let me tell you, it's back to back every Sunday, 5 to 6 in the evening. So if you are a part of the WhatsApp group, sincere request, please don't leave us, because if you leave us, it really hurts. It really hurts very badly. So please don't leave. And sincere request, if you can like our Facebook page and if you can like our Instagram page, it will just only help to spread the word. बिकॉज ये जो मैं वी तब से कह रहा हूँ, इस वी में सिर्फ मैं हूँ और ईश्वर जी है, भगवान जी है, और कोई नहीं है. सो दिस इज माय इनिशिएटिव व्हिच आई स्टार्टेड. मैंने अपने ग्लिप टॉक के बारे में तो कुछ बोला नहीं. आई नो आई डिडंट आस्क यू स्पेसिफिकली, बट आई वुड रियली it will be really nice to hear from your end, because for the last 1 month we are talking about it and today is a finally the day. अगर आपने 2-3 शब्द बोल देंगे तो it will make my evening.
No, I think it's a very refreshing concept to have a chat show with individuals. In a normal scenario, we would have been having this conversation over a drink after a hard day's work. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen for at least a couple of months. So, getting people on a water conversation or a chai conversation, but I think it just helps, and I think you're doing a great job in really creating a new format of talk shows where you're getting all of us corporate servants to come here and share a glorified story of ourselves in whatever we are doing or what we are not doing. You should continue doing this, and I'm sure it's going to be fun for a lot of people.
Thank you.
Good job.
So we had somebody who raised his hand. I don't see that person. If anybody has, Shushmita wants to ask a question. Shushmita, I'm unmuting yourself. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, so you can hear me now?
Yes. Can you speak a little louder, please?
Okay. Now it's
yes,
clear?
Better, Shushmita.
Okay, hello to both of you. I follow Vinay sir on LinkedIn as well as on VT Talks as well. So the other day I wanted to ask this question that what are the things as an I'm asking this very normal question, since I'm a MBA fresher in HR and stepping
and
into this.
Don't worry about it. Just ask.
Okay.
If I don't know, until I don't know. I mean, it's okay.
Okay, not an issue. So, what are the things you would see in an MBA HR person, or what do you want to see when there is somebody who is fresh campus out and enters corporates? What are the expectations from your end as well as from the corporates end as well? What are the things would you see in them so that they are fit for the role?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
So, I don't have very fancy expectations, and I don't talk from corporates, but I talk from myself. I think there are clearly two basic expectations I have from anybody who's passing out. First is that you look at your career not from 1 or 2 years perspective, but look at it from a journey of 30 years, 35 years of working life. Which means that your primary objective in the first 5-8 years of your career has to be learning. You take up only roles that will give you that learning opportunity, take up roles that will help you grow and evolve, take up roles that are not very attractive but will make you learn. That's my first advice to you. And second advice, would be that stop doing these certifications and courses for the sake of enhancing your profile. If you're doing anything, you better learn out of that and better use those learnings in your interviews or conversations or anywhere else. But just to enhance your profile, don't do anything.
Yeah, you have said once in the VT talks as well. I clearly remember.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
just do
strongly believe,
one
I
or
strongly
two,
believe in that.
one or two in a month, and make sure that it is quite relevant.
Yeah.
And secondly, like while we are applying even offline also, like outside the campus, so they always say that prepare a cover letter or a pitch letter along with resume. So
Hmm.
how that is relevant according to you? Like you have said right now, around when this chat was, when the session was going on around
So
50.
if you ask me, I don't think a cover letter really helps.
Okay.
I think it's irrelevant. However, a lot of times, I'll tell you the advantage of a cover letter.
Okay.
There could be 3 or 4 things that you have done, which you may not be able to showcase in your CV, in your experience boxes. You write that in the cover letter saying that I have also got exposure in doing these things. That's the only reason why there's a cover letter. Otherwise, I think it only helps boost people's ego when they see respected sir, we would be grateful if you give an opportunity, blah blah blah. I think a CV with a short message why you're applying should help, but a cover letter otherwise should be an objective to showcase things that are not there in your CV.
So
Okay.
great. So
Thank you.
Shweta, for the best interest of time, we have to give opportunity to everybody. So I hope you understand. Thank you so much for your question.
Well,
Stay tuned and don't go anywhere. So
sure.
thank you. Be on the show, Sushmita. Thank you so much for your question. Because next is your turn. Please go ahead and ask your question. And you have to show
Sure.
your video.
Thanks, Samrat.
Why don't you show your video, Vikas?
यार विकास आप गूगली तो नहीं डालोगे ना मतलब?
By the way, ladies and gentlemen,
विनय को गूगली कौन डाल सकता है?
ladies and gentlemen, let me quickly tell you this: कि one HR veteran and one HR in my heart, who is a known name Vikas Dua in the HR industry, is asking another HR. So I'm sure this is going to be a real face-off. So let's hear what Vikas has to say.
No, there's no face-off. Honestly, Samrat, I think Vinay is a guy, an HR expert who I really admire personally. And honestly, I think one of the best episodes of Glip Talk so far that I've listened to, and I've attended many of them, So great, Vinay, lovely listening to you. One question that I've always had, somehow never got a chance to ask you, is that, when it comes to your role and as a CHRO and for a very dynamic organization, which is really at the cutting edge, and growing very fast. How do you manage your time? Because you manage to spend a lot of time furthering the learning in the community as well. You do your VD talks, you participate in a lot of webinars and stuff. So I'm really curious to know how you juggle that, because I think that can be of real value to the audience. Yeah.
So a lot of times people really ask me, how do I get so much energy, from. In fact, last couple of months, there has been very little travel, but otherwise I used to be practically on a flight every week, meeting different people for work, off work, etc., etc. What drives me really is core passion that I have for what I do. And that passion just gives me enormous amount of energy. Even if I have to take a 4 a.m. flight, there have been times when I've taken a 4 a.m. flight, gone, delivered a full day lecture, met with people in the evening, socialized till 11, 12 o'clock, gone back again, taken the next day 4 a.m. red-eye flight and come back. And I'm again back to normal. I think it's passion and only passion that drives me. Even when anybody listens to me talk, they'll know that isme energy bahut hai is bande, and that's only passion that I have, which really drives me. And I would tell everybody else that be passionate of what you do. It really helps you, and it really helps you.
But Vikas, आप भी तो कम नहीं हो. You're every week.
Oh yeah, of course.
By HR Bites. Don't be so modest, please, huh?
Vikas is
yeah.
He's just asking a question because
Right.
there was a webinar where I asked Vikas a question and I locked off, and he then we had a chat about it, saying that ये क्या पूछ के गया था तू मुझे बताएगा. So no, but Vikas himself is very, very energetic.
Oh, yes. Vikas himself.
He experiments a lot, and I just love his experimenting attitude.
No, honestly, I think I don't have the heavy portfolio that Vinay has. So I think in that regard, I really admire him for this. And of course, the energy is obviously very, what shall I say, addictive. We met on a platform not like this, because this is a chat show and a talk show, but we met on a webinar, and we hit it off because frankly, I could get that energy across how many miles of internet cables and the screen between us. So I know he has magic.
You have equal magic too, Vikas, and thanks for being.
Thank you, gracious of you to say that.
By the way, Glip Talk 2.1 was with Mr. Suha. Vikas was really kind to be my third guest in my, and he is been a guest, and as an audience also he has come. So thank you very much, because this shows true HR spirit, the true human resource, the human part of HR, which is still not happening. So thank you very much, Vikas. Next is Vijay. Vijay, do you want to? I have unmuted you. Do you want to ask your question, please?
Yeah. Thanks, Samrat. Am I audible?
Yes, you're on.
Yeah. Hi, Vinay. Thanks for coming into the show, and it was a nice talk from you. One thing I liked very much is for your new joiners or the freshers, that it is a career of 30 to 35 years, and we have to select a right job. That's really great. Because many of us, or when we are starting, we may not be thinking about that long term.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a really good thing. Coming to another point of, when a person is leaving, you said till the 90th day you worked a lot, and till 9 o'clock in the evening you had the, chat and call and everything, right? Another point is when people talk about this, it is like one rotten egg in a ball, and who is leaving, creating a nonsense in the team. Yeah. So how do you take that one?
So I have had this conversation multiple times when people come to me saying that this guy is resigned, you should get him off immediately, you should not have this person in the team, please find us a replacement, etc., etc., etc. My approach is very simple. I actually have conversations with the person who's resigned and along with the supervisor, where I tell both of them that the journey is short. There's only this much time that you've got. You can make the best out of this time or only create enemies out of this time. You can choose what you want to do. And mostly people choose to make friends. And a lot of times it has happened that they've come back to me, the supervisor have come back to me and told that after this session, he's been regular to work, he is concentrating, thank you for that. You can take your time to get a replacement. So when you talk frankly and set expectations, it really helps. Somehow in India, we just don't know how to give negative news very positively. So we struggle with that. The best thing we believe is we'll avoid and we'll just say, just get this off. So have conversations, it really helps.
Yeah, that happens a lot of times. It seems like, when the employees put a paper and he's in a notice period, nobody notices him. It's like, he's left aside without any expectation from him, and that is how the 3 months or whatever 90 days the period passes away, and that is where he creates a lot of nonsense without having the work. And
because he doesn't have work, so idle mind is devil's workshop, right? I mean, if you're all day, what else will you do? You will gossip, you will sit, you will talk. Give that man job and give that man work. He will continue to be busy. He will not trouble anybody else. It's as simple.
Yeah. Thanks, Vinay. Thanks for the good advice you have given.
Thank you.
And if I can also add, Vinay, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it depends on the individual also, right? अगर उसका खुद का moral responsibility नहीं बनता है, and he wants to take it to a different tangent, बाहर से the supervisor and the peers can only give him a feedback, or he can have a discussion, an open house discussion with the HR and a very candid talk. Dude, you have resigned, that's fine, but don't burn your bridges. Do your work, that as you rightly said, you are getting paid, right?
So you know what? No, I'll tell you, it's a two-way street. Any person who resigns, suddenly the supervisor will start looking at him with suspicion. Correct. I mean, give him a break. He's resigned because he has some career aspirations. Respect the fact. They'll start taunting. They'll start saying, "Acha, you've resigned now. Now you will not listen to us." Why make all of those statements? He's resigned. He wants to move on. Give him that very, very fair treatment. What goes around comes around. So you treat your teams in a bad way, they will also be waiting for that opportunity. So I don't think it's a problem otherwise.
Great. Farid, I have unmuted you. Do you want to ask your question quickly, please?
Yeah, hi, Vinay.
Good evening.
I guess you remember me. I guess we had a long
I
discussion.
remember.
Okay, so Vinay, I have two questions.
Batch 7 Axis Bank Young Bankers Program. Go ahead.
Okay, I guess that is my honor that you remember me. Okay, I have two questions. I want to eat your brain out there. So first question will be, I don't know the HR ask a particular format questions, which are like common questions like why should we hire you, or where do you see in 5 years? So and I certainly don't know what will be the perfect answer to tell. I don't know. I seriously don't know because in half of the interviews I've attended, there are many questions like this. This is one of the two examples I've given to you. There may be many. And my second question will be, as you told, you suggested that there should be learning for every month, 1 or 2 courses. So can you suggest me a medium or 2 mediums where we can pursue these courses, so we can develop our skills and
Yeah, sure. Thanks for asking that. As far as your interview questions are concerned, I'm also honestly at my wits' end. Why are even some questions being asked sometimes? And if today somebody says, where do you see yourself 5 years down the lane? They'll say, hello, do you remember COVID-19? You were not even out of your house. So I think a lot of those questions will change. HR will stop asking a lot of these questions. But I have a full-fledged module on preparing for interview skills. If and I'll share that with you. You can go through that. That will give you tips to prepare when they ask these questions and how do you prepare for it. As far as your learning is concerned, and this is for everybody else, thanks for asking that question. You need to understand what kind of programs you want to learn. There are tons of online platforms available like Coursera, or an academy, or the multiple such platforms. You can definitely shortlist one which provides the course that you want to do, and go ahead and do it. I mean, today we've accelerated our online journey, online learning journey, thanks to this pandemic. So you will get a lot of material online. It's very simple, and you can just do that.
Okay, Vinay. Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks so much for your question. Harsimran, I have unmuted you. Do you want to ask your question quickly?
Everybody is asking very serious questions. I mean, this is turning out to be a very, very serious conversation.
I don't know why, guys. It is a pep talk. Just ask anything. You normally don't get this opportunity, huh?
Hello. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Even my question is little serious. Sorry for that.
You are not
asking your questions.
Okay. So my question is, as I'm also pursuing my career in HR, and most of the time it has been I've seen, and I personally believe also, that once we are hiring any candidate, attitude and behavior is one thing which we look for, and on the other, and which I personally also believe on the same thing. But on the other hand, when the person is actually hired, what we see is on the resume what they have done, what are the technical skills. So what you has to say about this? What means, which one is majorly true? Like you have worked in certain...
Both of them are equally important. Attitude is important because he or she needs to understand how the organization works, and it's the attitude that defines whether he's going to learn the new process, he's going to learn the new module easily, so on and so forth. And what is there on your CV is really the technical details. So there is a personality trait and there is a job details, right? Like I cannot go and do an engineer's job. I can't code because I've never learned coding. I may have the best attitude to be in the software industry, but I can never code. So your CV gives you those technical expertise that somebody is built, and your personality gives you whether the person really can gel well or not, or whether he'll get used to this culture or not. And that's why both are important, if you ask me.
Okay, and once a person, like if there are certain candidates, like 10, 15, 20 candidates who has given their interview in certain organization, and they have not been selected, only the application goes to the person who has been selected, and the application, like rejected application, didn't go to that person. So I feel that is not fair to that part. If somebody is not selected, then also we should communicate them so that they which shows the caring. Yes. So means how many companies are following this policy in India? Do you
Yeah,
have
I
any?
cannot comment for how many companies are following because I don't represent all those companies. I can only
Yes.
comment for what I am doing, and I can comment for what everybody should do. If you ask me as an HR practitioner, I believe every candidate deserves a feedback, and there is no questions asked on that. You have to give feedback.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, sir.
And
Welcome.
if I may add, Simran, if no other companies are doing it, and if you know that you can start doing it, I think you should start doing it. It's always a start, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
let's not
Thank you.
depend on others. Let's start doing it ourselves first and lead by example. All right.
Yes.
Great. Divakar, your turn. I have unmuted you. Divakar, you want to ask your question? Vinita, I'm coming to you very soon. Just hold on. Hang in there. Divakar.
Yeah, hi. Good evening to both of you.
Good evening.
Yeah, so hi Vinay. Good evening.
Good evening.
So,
तू क्या सवाल पूछ रहा है यहाँ पे बे?
अरे sir,
Go ahead.
yes. So I have one question. So do you actually think there is a need of AI into human resource?
No, I
And why
don't think
so?
there is. I don't think there is. I don't think people understand what artificial intelligence is as a concept. What people are right now doing is really that's not artificial intelligence. With machine learning gaining importance, we have started talking of AI. What people are doing right now is nothing but robotic automation of their processes or responses. Till you don't have robots, I think AI will not help because you're dealing with different individuals. And a lot of people will beat me up for saying that because every HR person I've met is talking about AI and ML and I don't know what else. I would say that you're dealing with human beings. So if till you
Correct.
don't have your workforce as robots, I don't think it'll work. That's my personal opinion.
No. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Divakar, I'm a certified advanced RPA professional from Automation Anywhere and from UiPath. And if I have to just quickly add on to it, people are terming this AI
Yeah,
and
even
AI
sorry to
and
interrupt you.
ML.
Even
Artificial intelligence and machine learning are two different things. Even though they resonate with each other, they are correlated with each other. That is helping cognitive automation to be in place. Trust me, let's get the concept very clear of what artificial intelligence is. What are the algorithms that actually work in machine learning? What is the functionality of a Python as a language that actually helps and enables? It's a huge thing altogether. Yes, I believe for the task, which is very manual, probably where you have to do a lot of things manually, that can be leveraged to an automation or with the help of artificial intelligence and machine learning that can be automated, that can ease out a lot of work for a lot of personals, but that will take away the human element from HR. So I think Vinay is absolutely right that bots are not always welcome and everyone has got their own set of things. But yeah, that's a quick 2 cents from my end. Vinita, I am just going to unmute you. You can ask your question. Where is Vinita gone? There is Vinita. Vinita, you're already unmuted. You want to ask your question? I don't know where is Vinita. Vinita, you are already on unmute. You want to unmute your? You want to ask your question? Okay, Vinita, I think she's not there. I have Rupesh and Sahil and Abhishek. In the best interest of time, we have already shot up by 7 minutes. We don't want to hold back Vinay for a very long time and obviously the rest of the audience. We will take 2 more questions quickly. And I am unmuting Rupesh. Rupesh, if you can just quickly ask your question.
Hello, hi Vinay.
Vinay, you are on mute now, I guess. Oh, you cannot unmute? How is that possible? यार कोई मार डालो मुझे but don't kill me. I'm sorry. Technology, when it works fine, it works very fine. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Vinay.
Hi Vinay.
Hi, Rupesh.
How are you?
Very well, yeah.
This is my
Pucho.
first, session of
So
Vinay.
Rupesh is the guy who manages payroll for my organization.
वाह वाह वाह, क्या प्लानिंग करके आए हो आप लोग, बहुत ही
I don't even know why are these people there here on the webinar. They have heard enough from me already.
Go ahead.
Yes, Rupesh.
Okay. Vinay, what if we change our career even after having 6 to 7 years of experience? What
Nothing
if?
stops from changing. Like for example, I'm not sure if I want to be in HR forever. Let me tell you that to everybody else here as well. I'm also still thinking what's the next journey that I want to be in, and I possibly would get an answer myself, and I'll move in that. I may not remain in HR throughout my career, so that's fine as far as you're okay and you know what you want to do.
Okay.
Rupesh is a payroll guy, so I'm sure he has got loads of money. Guys, if you really want to get some money from him, please go ahead and attack. Rupesh, in the best interest of time, I'm sorry, I have to give chance to Vinita. I hope you understand. Please don't feel bad about it. Okay, Vinita, your question next, quickly.
Yeah. Hi, good evening, all.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm very glad that I was a part of Vinay's journey in 2014-15. I have seen his every avatar, you can say. My question is, like with very generous way, I want to ask that if a candidate is sitting in front of HR, then ask about the role and responsibility. Okay, when the candidate is sitting in front of the HR analyzes how the person is, or how he or she reacts, or how he sees things as a task, or what he has achieved in his life. So my question is, like, or the department things also they ask. My question is, when a HR feels this candidate is perfect or more than perfect for this particular role, does they go back to the department head and vouch for the candidate in terms of like, you have to take this candidate, or you have to?
I'll tell you. We vouch for a lot of candidates because we are making our jobs easier. We don't want to interview more people and give them to the department. We would, if we are convinced, we would go all out and vouch for candidates. Definitely HR does that.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, because
that was the only question I was asking.
close करोगे उतना आपके लिए अच्छा है, your target would be met, right? So
yeah.
We always see that HR coming up to us and say, no, department has given us this, you have to keep these things in mind, we cannot go beyond that a hell lot of bargaining things happen. So that's what my question is, does HR also vouch for the candidate, because bargaining is different and the candidate potential is totally different?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. HR bilkul karta hai, yaar. Definitely.
I've got very good HR friends and I have seen them doing it. So,
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sahil, your question, you're on unmute if you just want to ask your question quickly.
Hello. Yeah. Hi, Samrat. Hi, Vinay.
Hi, sir.
It's a great webinar to attend, actually.
It's not a webinar. I'll kill you. I'll get inside the Zoom platform.
No, that's the only word that came first into my mind. Okay. Sorry for that.
So webinar is the Xerox, yeah.
Yeah.
Photocopy.
So actually, I am a hospitality graduate. Okay, and recently I joined a recruitment company. Okay, and that specializes into IT roles. Now, so there must be something that I would have done to impress my recruiter and all. Okay. One common thing I do when I like call up people, and I realize that people are like, nowadays when we are offering offshore roles to people, they tend to ask like, why is the company giving offshore roles? Like, isn't the company capable to house so many employees, or is the company a startup? Why are people so afraid of startups and so afraid of offshore roles? An individual contribution in person, like,
why are people afraid of startups and offshore centers? Is that your question?
No. So like work from home, right? Work from home. So if a company is offering work from home for all the time, like even after the pandemic and all these things.
Yeah.
So why are people so afraid of it?
Yeah, I don't think people are afraid. I'll tell you, the problem is people want, like for example, we are all living in the same house as family for the first time since birth for so many days together. We have not killed each other. I think that's a blessing in disguise. So people want to get out because they want an outlet. So a lot of times it's not about whether they like work from home or not. It is about what they want in their career and life. Having said that, a lot of people have these permanent work from home jobs, and they've been doing it even before the pandemic, and they'll continue to do even after the pandemic. Hopefully some more jobs will get added logically that should have been added long back, thanks to the pandemic, and people will get used to it. It's just that we are social animals. We want to meet people in person. We want the look and feel. We don't like this web avatar, and this is not something that people like, and that's why they would have a reservation. Otherwise, there is no problem.
Oh, that's a great answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Sahil. Thank you so much. With this, we will take the very last question. We are already close to 1 hour and 15 minutes. Rajat, I'm unmuting yourself. Please go ahead and ask your question too.
Hello, Vinay sir. It's good to see you again. I'm from the 6th batch of Access Money Bar.
Yep.
Hope you remember. Sir, the thing is, like, you have spoiled us a lot. And trust me, I really want to say that, because in that time, it was my first job, and I have seen an HR who is actually not only vouching for us, it is actually fighting for us. That's the main thing. And due to that reason, probably, I wouldn't, I would say I do have created a very different image of, HR while working in my company or organization. There are two serious things I which really want to ask is that, we have always been talked about extra, that you have to work extra, and you have to give, you have to do hard work. See, if my work could be another person's hard work, okay, what I'm doing it flawlessly, what I'm doing it, within the stipulated time, it could be done by some other person, she could take a bit of more time. See, so the perception in this, the organization is that I might not be doing it correctly. I'm not doing it. No, I'm not doing it optimally. And in order to prove myself, there's a word which I have to always justify at the end of year, that how much extra I have done.
Yeah.
So I really want to know that, is it, this extra word is necessary for us? We have to go for the extra. And second thing is that, yeah.
I'll come to.
मैं भूल ही गया सवाल क्या था.
I'll tell you. No.
छोटा लगो थोड़ा. Sorry.
So Rajat, see, it's as simple as this. When you go to a restaurant and you like the services of the people serving you, there is a service charge, there's a service tax, and there's a bill for the food that you ordered, which includes also the service that they've provided. You still give that extra tip to that service for a good service that is provided, right? And that is what people remember. He's getting salary, he's getting everything for serving you as a host or a waiter, but because he gets a tip, and because he remembers you because you've given that tip, right? That's that extra. So what happens is, in a highly competitive world that we are living in, 100% is where everybody is. How do you differentiate who's at 120% versus who's at 130% versus who's at 140%? Because you're in a competitive world, and that's the reality that will remain till the time India doesn't become a matured economy. We are a growing economy, so we outgrow ourselves very fast. This is like, when you were a child and there was a pant that your parents would have bought for you. Suddenly you would have kept that for a happy occasion, and you would have realized that when you wear it, you've outgrown, you've already become tall. So India is in that journey right now. We are outgrowing our needs consistently, and therefore it's going to be like this. When we hit a matured economy status, maybe in 20 years, 15, 20 years time frame, a lot of this will become stagnant.
Yeah, and sir, I just want to know about the role of like functional heads in the recruitment process. Like what is exactly if they are saying no to a candidate, probably if you are thinking that he's good or something like that. See, because while working through different banking organizations, I felt this like the HR round is only for negotiation in salary. See, it's my personal feeling. But yeah, I would really
I'm sorry.
like you to throw some light on
Rajat,
like
one
what
second.
is exactly going on. Yeah.
So I'll take that question if we have some time post the conversation.
Yeah, sure, sir.
And I'll give you a proper answer. Otherwise, I'll take it offline if we don't have time. I have all the time. It's Sunday evening, and there's nothing better that I have to do. But if you guys have something better to do, then I would not want to hold all of you. But I'll answer that. Let's move on to the next one.
You can touch base with Vinay. I'm sure you have Vinay's number, or you can just talk to him on LinkedIn. I'm sure Vinay would be more than happy to answer your question, because we have a lot of people. They have already raised requests, and I don't want to respond to anyone. I have Pradeep and I have Abhishek who's asking the question last. Sorry guys, it's the last two questions we are taking. I know there are a lot of questions. Pradeep Urf Masti, जो आपका नाम लिखा है वहाँ पे, please, I'm unmuting you. Please go ahead and ask your question. Pradeep, here you go.
Hi Vinay. Hi Samrat.
Hey, hi Pradeep. Hi, go ahead.
Vinay, I hope you remember.
No, don't put this googly on me.
Kamal School.
Oh yes, Namaskara.
Namaskara. How are you?
Very well.
All right. Nice to see you on this forum.
What are you doing here, dude? I mean,
I just wanted to have a fun session, but it became more of a GAN session now. So just wanted to end. Okay. I just wanted to end the session because I see many of our fraternity people who are young and who want to achieve head HR roles. Just a humorous ending, Vinay, because there's other sessions for all your serious talks. Just that what we face on a daily need, that humorous, that funny, and that serious, and people still think HRs are not approachable. So just wanted one incident which you cannot forget.
There are a lot of incidents that I cannot forget.
Which is very humorous and which is very witty by a candidate or an employee, something like that. Not on a serious note though.
यार ये मेरा सवाल था और आप लोग खुद ही पूछ रहे हो. एक तो सवाल पे सवाल, मेरा टाइम है ही नहीं.
See, as from HR fraternity, that was an HR question from my end, Samrat.
Go ahead.
So I'll tell you, Pradeep, I think, so I'll tell an interesting story. It was, of course, I was not very embarrassed, but I'll tell you what happened, and I think it'll be fun for everybody else who stayed on to listen into this story. I was hiring for a academic program when I was working on the banks, and the program, and we have a lot of them out of that program here as well. So the program had students coming from all over India into Bangalore at a Manipal University campus for their joining and induction, and they were going to do a 1-year full postgraduate program there. So I was tasked with communicating with all of them, bringing them to Bangalore, a whole host of HR things that we had to do. Now, I wanted to understand that, how do I communicate in simple language to these people that you have to come on this date, report, do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. So what I did was they had these Facebook groups and everywhere, normally whenever a B school admission happens, you have these groups that get created. Right. So I presented to them as if I'm a student coming from UP, and I got into one of the WhatsApp groups. And that WhatsApp group had those 100 students who will keep talking all the nonsense possible. So whenever a communication is sent from HR, there'll be like a whole gossip session. What does HR think of himself? How can they write to us? We have to come like this, you have to come like that. And I am a student on that group who's also trying to, address a lot of those things. The best part is that that went on for 2-3 months, and I would take a lot of information of what is people getting confused with, and I would correct those communication points. There's an induction of 600-700 people who were there, who came all over India. And there were 2 or 3 very notorious people on that WhatsApp group. Every group has those, those gundas or those leaders, right? So I suddenly, in that 700 people induction, I suddenly, wrote down my phone number on the notice board. And I said that this is my phone number. Can all of you save my number on your phone. So everybody saved the number on the phone. Then I said, can all those members who are a part of this group, can you stand up? They all stood up. I said, do you see my name there? And then they went into the contact list and they realized that I was there in their group and I've been listening to everything that they're talking for the last 2-3 months. And then I was just telling them, there's only one Gunda that can be around in this campus, and that's me here. So don't muck around with me. And trust me, it was fun. It was one of the best memories I have of acting a Gunda.
Good one, Vinay.
Great. So I think Pradeep is the only one who asked a very humorous question so far from the audience. Really appreciate that.
Because because I've listened to the more serious part, and being into the HR part, I know, it's just to have fun. We'll have this last question.
So we have, Vinay, with your permission, we have Abhishek and Priyankar who wants to ask their last question. I hope I'm answering them, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Abhishek, I'm unmuting yourself. Please go ahead and ask your question quickly.
Oh, Abhishek Kashyap has a question. Really?
नहीं हो सकता क्या?
नहीं, पूछो.
Basically, it's related to my own job profile. So it is actually a bit of like a boring question, not a humorous one. So while working into an organization, we tend to go for the salary increment thing with the HR and with your boss. So there are basically 2 points. One is, how do you tackle it? Because you don't want to spoil the relationship with your or with your boss, and knowing that it's been a couple of years or 3 years in your organization, and you don't want that you go for the salary correction thing and it is not the right time, not in this COVID time, but in the normal scenario also. You feel that this is not the right time, but I think I should go for the salary increment part. The second point is, why do organizations keep this thing when they basically ignore it? The employee who is asking for the salary increment, and that employee then basically exits the organization, and they tend to hire a employee which is basically they have to pay higher than what they were basically paying him, and then there are furthermore expenses, overheads like training costs and everything. So why is it not that organization keep this thing, and they always want that the experience should be there, the experienced guy should be there in the organization, rather than hiring a fresher one or the guy who is probably new to the organization?
I'll tell you, I'll answer your second question first. The issue in our setup in India is we are not a very matured market. So a lot of times people do not understand that you need to give increments which really matches somebody's experience, so on and so forth. A lot of times people are confused, and we like following standard protocol. So if there's anything which is not standard, they'll not know how to deal with it. That's how we are all tuned. Even in school, we were tuned to mug up whatever is in the textbook and go and write exactly that as answers, which were then the model question paper or answer sheet that was given to you. So we're used to this whole attitude of chalta hai, chalne do, don't mess with the things that are happening around you. That somewhere reflects even in all of these critical conversations that people have. And organizations have lost people. They've had to have expensive rehires or expensive replacements come on board. The reality is that you can't do much about it.
And there is salary disparity also.
They will be. And that will continue to be till we do not become a mature economy. The first question of salary versus growth versus, I've had this conversation with a lot of you. For me, it is always the role. For me, it is always what is exciting in what I'm going to do. I've never chased salary, and I'm a really bad negotiator for my own salary in that sense. I never negotiate. So I really can't answer that, how you should choose that. I would say go with what gives you more learning, and that's more critical. And that's what will help you become a better professional. And that's what I think I have as credibility gained in the last 10, 12 years, because I've only chased learning.
Thank you so much.
Great. Well, with this, we will take the very last question of the evening. But before that, my sincere request to all of you, once again, if you can go ahead and please like our Facebook page, Glip Talk, and our Instagram page, and spread the word to your entourage. It will be really, really helpful, because we need your love, we need your support. And without your support, without your help, we would not be moving anywhere. And just to let you all know, since you all are from the industry, when we do our shows, we go ahead and take a public opinion. We take an audience opinion too, in terms of how do you want us to improve, what are the things that you want us to incorporate. And when I do that, I have seen some great responses coming your way. I have sent an invitation, personalized invitation over an email to all of you. I hope you all have read it. There would be one more email coming and hitting your mailbox asking for your valuable feedback and your opinion about this small initiative that we have just started. So please give your unbiased opinion. There is no name, there is no email or phone number that you have to give. You just have to rate our show and what all do you want us to incorporate. And with that, you will have the Glip Talk Facebook page and the Instagram page too. You can go ahead and like it if you really want. And I'm on LinkedIn with the name Samrat Ghosh. You can connect with me. We can definitely have a conversation. If you really have a story to share, I think we can talk in our next show upcoming. With this, I am going to be unmuting Priyankar. Priyankar, this is your last question. Please go ahead and ask Vinay.
Hello, hello. I am audible.
Yes, Priyankar.
Yeah,
Loud
yeah,
and clear.
yeah. Good evening, everyone. My question is to Vinay sir. Why the gap in professional career or in academic career? The gap it is reviewed negatively in India. Why is it so?
Simple, yeah, Priyankar. There are so many. It's a demand supply game. So for one position, there are 10,000 applications. Now, how do you filter them out? You filter them out basis marks, basis this, basis that, and gap is one of them. I think a lot of them is viewed negatively, but the good thing is that perception is changing. People are appreciating, but only appreciating if there's a gap for a genuine reason. The problem with India is that we are jugado. We will tell a huge story that's not even true when we are explaining our gap. So that's why people just don't want to believe. So the reality is that we have demand supply mismatch. We have a lot of supply and less of demand. And that's why this is reviewed this way. But that will change over the course of next 5-8 years.
But I have a question with this, just a correlation. I'm sorry, I'm taking your time. But if somebody does not have a genuine reason, right? Probably the person is scouting for a job and not getting a job. And for the next 6 months, he is not getting a job. How do you think that person should go ahead and take what approach to the next interviewer?
By being truthful.
Just being
by being truthful of what the person has done in the 6 months to get employment, which could be the approach he employed to search for jobs, the learning that he had while he was searching for jobs, and just tell the story that this is what it is, and I'm being truthful. 99% of the times, people will appreciate if you say the truth.
So you think that it does not work in as a disadvantageous thing?
No. Truth never works as disadvantage.
Brilliant, brilliant. Great. I think we are 1 hour and 30 minutes. So, wow, this is the first time ever the show got extended to a certain extent. Thank you, audience. You guys are fantastic. You guys are beautiful. You guys are bold. You guys are handsome. You guys are phenomenal. So with this, Vinay, can you just go ahead and say a parting note and a message to everyone for the show, a little bit about me also if you can, and for the audience, whoever is still there.
Thank you. Thank you very much for arranging for this session. I really have met a lot of people after a long time thanks to this session, and I'm also glad that so many people actually came in to listen to the classic bullshit that I keep giving people as gyan. My only advice is just stay passionate and stay curious. I think everything else will be taken care of. Everybody has their own support system, so if anything happens, fall back on that support system. Enjoy life. It's too short to worry about anything. And thank you for coming in on this Sunday evening and spending time with Samrat and me. Do follow his Glip Talks, because it definitely is transforming into a great talk show from a corporate perspective, and you will see a lot of great people that he's trying to line up who will come here and share their experiences. I'm sure you can take a learning or two out of each Glip Talk for your own good, and have some fun and keep doing this great job, Samrat. Really appreciate it, and thank you to everybody once again for joining in. Thank you.
Thank you so much once again. Vinay, wish you all the very best for BT Talks. You keep rocking. I'm sure very soon your YouTube channel would have millions of subscribers. So keep up the fantastic work that you are doing. It's a really great source of motivation and an icebreaker. Trust me, when I get depressed, I watch your BT Talks and it really, really motivates me. So with this, we wish for everyone that, guys, please stay safe. You know, the biggies are getting infected, staying at home in the best of their security guards and everything. Very unfortunately, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan and his family been tested COVID positive. Mr. Anupam Kher and his mother and his family been tested COVID positive. So imagine at people at their stature, when they are so much into protection and guard and taken care of by so many people, if they are getting infected, we got to be really, really seriously thinking about it. So with this, we say hasta la vista, take care, sayonara. We will see you next week. Thank you, Vinay, one more time. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe, take care, and have a wonderful Sunday evening ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.